go. Fabian, would you like to do the roll call for us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hey, Deborah Potter,
Here.
James Lujan,
Here.
Jim Gollin.
Yeah, I think he's coming.
Okay, Steve
Everybody-
Graham.
No, he's not here. They're all excused. But okay. Steve, sorry. Go ahead, Fabian. Sorry.
Chris Jonas.
He's excused.
I don't see him on there.
He's
He's
excused.
attending the charrette, the public engagement midtown.
Yeah. He's excused.
Cabby Kabakov.
Here.
Okay. Andrea Medic.
She's excused.
Okay. Katrina Mendoza.
Here.
There she is. Hi.
Jacques Peisner.
Here.
Pamela Pierce.
Here.
Milton Reese.
Here.
There's Jim Gollin just arrived. Yeah.
Frank Ricano.
Here.
Jillian Spitzmiller.
Here.
Anna Dara.
Let's call her excused.
Okay. Doug Acton.
Here.
Gay Dillingham.
Here.
David Aubrey.
He's excused.
Alexandria Bombach.
Here.
Elias Gallegos.
He's excused.
And Michael Becker.
Excused.
Did I forget anybody?
Anna Dara's here. She just came.
And I
Okay.
guess I joined after my name was called, but Steve's here.
Very thorough roll call. Thank you so much. I want to introduce a really important visitor today. We have right in the middle of my screen, Mayor Alan Weber. Yay.
Oh, Deborah, how you doing?
Fine. Would you like to wait till the end of the meeting when we all have a kumbaya hug together, or would you, I'm sure you're very busy and have to get to things.
I want to give a kumbaya hug at the beginning of the meeting. Come on.
All right, whatever you want to do.
I want to say,
Your commission. Yes.
I know not everybody who deserves a thank you is on the meeting today, but there are a few folks who are stepping off the group, and I wanted to thank everybody for their amazing hard work, Doug and Michael and Jim and Jacques, and there's one other person whose name escapes me who's leaving.
Michael Becker.
Yeah, no, I think it's you, Deborah.
Oh,
Who's been there day in and day out from the get-go. You guys have done amazing work. You continue to do amazing work, and I just want to put it in context. I was sitting here getting ready for this meeting to start, and looking at a document that went out to mayors all over the country about what do we do to prepare for recovery after COVID. And there's no doubt that
Back I'm in the 30s.
that for us in Santa Fe, one of the ways we recover is by paying special attention to film, video, arts, culture.
There's a balance of 92.31.
Hey, Frank,
Already paid that. Did you already pay today? Yeah, no, I paid it.
Deborah, do you have a mute button?
Deborah can mute him.
who's making the noise? Okay.
You got it. I was about paying a bill, which we all concerned about. But anyway, I think as we look at what happens next, now that we've got about 20-something% of the people in Santa Fe County have been vaccinated, and the list is going up. Starting in the spring, we're going to be thinking seriously about recovery, resilience, and the leadership of film and digital media in bringing our economy forward and back to life. And so those of you who have been serving so diligently on this board, on this commission, thank you. Thank you for all the hard work, and I know you'll be back, or you're actually only leaving this body. You're not leaving the work. The work goes on. To those who are stepping up to take new leadership, thanks for doing that. This really is a fundamentally important part of Santa Fe. And this group, when I look at the Hollywood Squares board in front of me, it's a remarkable, talented, hardworking group of people who make a huge contribution. So to everybody who is stepping off, thank you. To those of you who are stepping up, thank you. I shouldn't leave off the thanks to the staff who make it all happen. You guys are resilient and smart and hardworking and dedicated. And starting right now, we turn the page to another great chapter in film and media and technology and digital, Santa Fe's digital future. So thanks to everybody. I don't want to hold you back from the business of the meeting, Deborah, but thank you needs to be said. And group hug, virtual or otherwise, yeah, whatever we've got in the way of emojis, put them all up there, clapping hands, hearts. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to go do some other work this morning, but really grateful for everything you do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank
See
you.
you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Wow. What a great way to start the meeting, huh? That was wonderful. Very sweet. And well, we'll start at the end of the meeting. I'll do that. Anyway, Randy, tell us what's going on with the LA flights.
Nothing. But I can
Deborah,
assure
did you
you
want to
that,
approve the agenda before you go forward?
I'm sorry, what?
yeah,
Sorry,
you want
did
to go ahead and
wanna
approve the agenda and a few of the housekeeping items.
Okay.
Yeah, did you want to approve the agenda before you?
Fabian, I've got this. Thank you so much, though.
You're welcome.
Okay, the minutes, we're going to defer the approval to the next meeting. In the meantime, Fabian and I will work to get them the way they should be, not that they're not. They will be, and then we'll send it to Gay, and then she can put it in on her list of things to do at the May meeting. The agenda, do we have, I'd like somebody to approve or to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I move.
Pam,
Second.
where's the second? Jacques. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
In favor? Okay. Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Randy, there we go.
No,
Aside from no LA flights, nothing. So that's like it for the airport then. Huh?
yeah, I think just a couple of things to let you know. First of all, that I think I told you at the last meeting, the Air Alliance is in a dormant stage, but it is poised to move ahead. It's wonderful. It has almost $250,000 in its account right now because it's really saved money. It applied for the $50,000 funding from the state, and it received the full $50,000 as a destination marketing organization. And I think I don't remember, Rich, if it applied for the county city money or not, but it's in strong shape and ready to go once we have something to promote. We're also bringing on a new member to work with us who's a former executive with American Airlines who has some good contacts not just at American, but with other airline businesses and understands them. So I think he's going to be quite an asset. His first name is Randy, so there will be confusion on our board, but that's okay. And I wanted to mention that the tourism department, the state tourism department, has a request for about 25 million extra dollars to spend over the next 2 years that has the governor's support. It's actually in the governor's budget. And if that is funded, there will be monies there to help airport expansion. So I think that's going, not physical, but expansion of service. And Santa Fe being the largest small airport, the second largest airport in the state, it has an opportunity to get support from the state as well. So we're excited about that. The improvements are moving slowly ahead, but they couldn't move much slower, but they are moving. So that is good news. And I stand for questions, but before I lose the mic, I just wanted to tell Deborah what an honor it's been working with her as chair of this. I have been fortunate to be involved with this since day one. And without Deborah, I don't think we'd be meeting today. She really was the glue that put this together and has done a terrific job. So, Madam Chair, I salute you. Great job. And I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you very much, Randy. Okay, we're right on schedule for Jennifer. What's happening, Jennifer? What's going on?
Good morning, all. Well, as you may or may not have heard, last week, Movie Maker magazine came out with their rankings of the top places to live and work as a movie maker in all of North America. So that includes Canada and Mexico. And in the small population, which is population 500,000 or less, Santa Fe came in as number 2. The last couple of years, we were at number 3. So we moved up one. Everyone always wants to know who number 1 was or is. It's New Orleans. Damn New Orleans. They always beat out Santa Fe. But New Orleans took top bid, Santa Fe second, Pittsburgh third. So when you look at the company we're around, those are more metropolitan areas with much higher population, double our population. So I think that speaks volumes for Santa Fe. Albuquerque took number 1 in the large city population, over 500,000. That's their 3rd year in a row of taking over number 1. So I got a nice email from the editor-in-chief of Movie Maker magazine saying what a powerhouse New Mexico has become, and especially our region with Albuquerque and Santa Fe being so close together, just what a powerhouse our region is. And is super excited to see everything that's coming out of New Mexico and out of our region. And as a bonus, just yesterday, or a couple of days ago, the cover of Movie Maker magazine came out with the top rankings. And the cover this for this quarter is Regina King, and it was shot in Santa Fe. So if you see the cover, it's Regina King, and she's just out in the landscape in Santa Fe when she was here shooting. So we kind of got double nods. So that's great news for us. And been super busy with inquiries, super busy. I've got 2 scripts I just got in the last 48 hours that I'm reading. Just coming off a scout from over the weekend. It looks like we're going to be getting a production in here in a couple weeks from the scout. So it's been rocking and rolling in the film office. So I've been super busy. And Deborah, yes, thank you. Thank you for keeping us all in line. Thank you for keeping us all informed. And thank you for your leadership while you've been heading up the board.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you very much. Okay, don't make me start crying yet. We'll save that for later. So Fabian, and we have another wonderful guest here, Rich Brown. So they're going to tell us all about what's happening at Midtown.
Thank you, Deborah. Fabian, you want me to take this segment on?
I do.
Thanks. Great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rich Brown. I'm the Director of Community and Economic Development. And part of my role in Community and Economic Development is the development of Midtown, among other things. We look at three major audiences that we work on: residents, visitors, and businesses. And so as we look at business growth, Midtown is an area that we consider an opportunity for business growth. As you know, last week we were in front of the City Council because through our exclusive negotiating agreement with Team Midtown, which is KDC Sienda, we had reached a mutual termination of that agreement. I want to make clear is that that was not a contract to sell or buy or develop land and build houses. It was a negotiating process that we went through starting in May. And so through that, we learned a lot about the land. We learned a lot about the area. We learned a lot about COVID. We learned a lot about the economic crisis and what we need to do moving forward. So this mutual termination was something that happened after we had done what we call a planning charrette, which happened in December. And it uncovered about 7 or 8 things that need to be worked on to better engage the land and the parcel and to move forward. What I think came out of that was also that the developer realized that what needed to happen over the next 18 months was unsustainable to them because of COVID and its related activities, the financing market closing up, commercial rent and commercial buildings almost disappearing overnight, and also that there were some major entitlement elements that needed to be done that were going to take longer than necessary, and time is money when you're a for-profit developer. So that was a mutual termination. We are looking forward to move forward. Some key dates I'd like you to write down. February 10th, we plan to issue a report to the governing body as to those 8 elements that we talked about that came out of the charrette. And then on February 24th, the evaluation committee that put together this proposal program and this E&A, as they call the negotiating agreement, will come with a recommendation on what the next steps are. And there are 3 paths they can take, but there are next steps that we're going to move from that standpoint. On the other side, we have submitted a renewal agreement with Garson Studios to the governing body. I think that it's on the agenda for the 24th of February. And now that this termination of the E&A has gone, it allows us to directly connect back to the Garson Studios, at least for the short term. That could be a year, 2 years, whatever, so that Claudio, who works at the studios, has a lot more flexibility and nimbleness to pursue some of the new film and TV activity that's going on around the country. As we all know, Canada's closed, so they're all looking for places to put their productions in. And so we want to take advantage of that as soon as possible. So that renewed agreement is actually on the governing body agenda, and I think it's the 24th when that's going to be done. So with that, I'm open for questions. Some questions I can answer, but I'm hoping to answer all of them. But before you put your questions in, I wanted to say to Deborah, thank you so much for being a leader for this commission. I'm very excited about this. As you all know, economic development looks at the film industry as a vital, diverse industry that we want to grow. And so this group and what you bring and contribute is a great way for us to help attract and expand businesses to Santa Fe, especially since we're now #2 in the small cities with Movie Maker. But Deborah, I wanted to say thank you for your leadership and making sure that we have a diverse group of people that bring great ideas to the table. So thank you. So for that, I'm open for questions.
And thank you for all you do for Santa Fe. So I'm sure you have questions about Midtown for Rich. Please, like raising your hand works. Milton.
There we go. Well, thank you. I mean, Rich, for being here. This is great. I had a couple of questions. You answered most of them, in fact, but one question that I did want to inquire about is you mentioned that the city is going to be working with Garson Studios again, which is fantastic. What is going to happen with the educational component that is built into that equation?
Milton, thanks for the question. The educational component will probably come down the road. And as I mentioned, on the 20th, this evaluation committee is coming up with recommendations on next steps forward. And so UNM, SFCC have been very excited about looking at an educational component on the campus, knowing that it's going to probably take a year to launch it or stand it up completely. But that is still in the sights. And so we're just waiting for the evaluation committee to figure out which path to take so that we can expand upon our film production abilities there, and also with adding new buildings into the assets that the film production team can use. So education and film school, et cetera, is definitely a part of the discussion we're having. So we're hoping that after February 24th, we have some clarity.
Okay, perfect. One slight follow-up question you may or may not even be able to answer, but there's been some debate, minor debate, albeit, but debate nonetheless, as far as what actually entails, what is entailed in the educational component. Does the educational facility have to be an accredited institution, state accredited by the higher education department, or can it be a non-accredited educational component? That is to say, nonprofits or other groups that are able to work and produce short-term intensive workshops. Is there any kind of consensus on exactly what the rules are, or is it sort of open-ended at this point, as it appears to be?
I can't easily answer your question because it's a little bit far ahead of me in the horse and cart. I know that in the process we're in right now, some of the proposals included film schools, film education. And so until that's clear or that's cleaned out, we get to have a different choices of proposals that come in. So that's as far as I can answer right now.
Oh, no, fair enough. I was just hoping that you might have some, be able to, but I completely understand that it's the cart before the horse, which is I'm famous for doing, by the way. So, okay, well, thank you.
Who else has questions for Rich? I'm sure there are many. Yes, Steve, I think the case has shifted around. Steve.
Yes. Hey, Rich. So the report that you're talking about that's ready on the 10th, will that be made public on the 10th?
Yes, it'll be a public report. We're actually going to be issuing these reports on a bi-weekly basis. So they'll go in front of, they'll be included in the governing body packet. So it'll be public, and we're also going to put it on the Midtown website. And I'm going to put the link to the Midtown website in the chat. But these reports will be bi-weekly, and they will be issued in both those places, amongst other spots. But it'll be in the governing body agenda. They'll get to ask us questions, and they're never shy. So so you'll get to learn more when the reports come out.
Well, and then are you engaging with interested organizations, people that, the companies that had submitted previously? Are you engaging with them now, or is that after the 24th?
We're not engaging with them now because the evaluation committee, that's the work that they do. And I think they can't sort of officially engage until after the governing body says, I like the path you're taking, what you're recommending. And once that's done, we get an approval, then we can engage with the various proposals that are still in this expressions of interest process. It has not closed. It's a living process. So this E&A was just a part of the living process. So once the fourth decisions are made, then we will have our marching orders as to how we start the re-engagement of what's there.
I guess my question is that of the options that you talked about, or that they talked about in the city commission meeting, is whether they go forward with the RFEI or break it all up, or or do something entirely different. There's new ideas and new things that could have happened in the last year. Yeah. While it's been tied up, and that could affect the choices made by the recommendation by the committee. So I was just curious how that's being taken in.
Yeah, and that's a very good question. So we all recognize, and this determination, I'll let you know it clearly, is that times have changed. So a proposal is probably static from the date it was submitted. So in the evaluation committee, they will go back and talk to all of the proposals that are there to say what's been updated, what has changed, here's what we've learned. How does that affect your proposal? But all that work can't really be done until around the 24th and afterwards. So, but we do recognize that even though there's one choice that says, let's close this expressions of interest proposal process off, it just means that all the proposals are now public and active. And so we are free to talk to every one of them our own way.
And full disclosure for the board, my company has a proposal as part of that. So, you know, I obviously would recuse myself from anything, but I'm very curious about what you guys are working on. So thanks.
Who else is curious? Who else has a question? We've got Rich while we've got him. We're so lucky to have him. Jim Collin, yeah.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Rich.
Morning.
So we had at the beginning of the process when the University of Art and Design was looking like it was going to fold, we created a working group on this commission, essentially to make sure that in whatever future the campus had, that there would be room for film and digital media, making sure that didn't get obliterated. I'm actually no longer worried about that. It seems like everybody's in agreement about that. But it being such a large piece of land, there's room for a lot of things. One of the things that had been proposed early, and I hadn't heard anything about later, and as we got into this whole process, it sort of took a backseat. I'm just wondering if it is at all back on the plate, was the idea of doing some essentially swapping of city government functions, i.e. taking some of the significant city government functions that are around the plaza, moving them down to the campus, and then redeveloping those areas for new economies. So is that now, with the old deal gone, something like that potentially being contemplated, or are we really more like the just essentially tweaking and getting a new developer?
I think to answer your question in two parts, Jim, I think that one is that I'm going to send you the link to the Midtown Santa Fe site. We had a series of 5 guidelines, and there were many entries into what it could be envisioned. Transferring City Hall to Midtown was not in the top 5. So currently, there is no plan to move our central City Hall to Midtown. One of the key things that I will say personally is that we need the City Hall population to sustain vibrancy downtown. I think if it leaves, we'll have another 2 years of empty development that will change the sort of the focus and I think draw of the downtown area. Plus that we are actually recruiting tech companies that are actually little small startups that are all downtown now. So it's starting to happen, but right now in the guidelines, moving City Hall to the Midtown campus has not been something that's become a top priority yet. One thing we are looking at is that we are working with the state to swap some land that they own around the Midtown campus. And so we're looking at possibly in the future, and hopefully with some partner, et cetera, to expand the film production operations. We think that if we could expand the film production operations, it will just open up more opportunity for growth, workforce development, job training, et cetera. So that's kind of replaced the thinking of moving City Hall to near Syringa Road. And I forgot your second part of the question, but that's kind of where we are with the thought of moving City Hall to a centralized space. We'd much rather sort of update the building that we have right now. Oh, secondly, I wanted to say, Jim, so one of the things that's going on right now concurrently is that our public engagement partner is holding a charrette. They're doing an internal planning charrette. And you said something earlier, Jim, that I wanted to just share is that one of the outcomes that I would like to see and will share with them is that I would like one of them to come to this commission in the next coming months to do some sort of workshop, some sort of input workshop so that they get your feedback as they look at the greater idea around master planning that's going to help us inform what goes there in the coming years. So you might see someone from the public engagement team come to the Film Commission and put on the agenda that they have a 45-minute hour, 45-minute or hour time where they could really get input from you to take back so that they can integrate that into the findings that they have as they move deeper into getting feedback as to how it should look on a vertical standpoint of the development of the city. So
you and Gay will coordinate that.
Gay, yes, exactly. Fabio and I will coordinate that with Gay, and Michael runs the public engagement.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions for Rich? Is your hand up, Jacques?
That's right. Thanks, Deborah. I just, hi, Rich. It's Jacques Paisner from the Santa Fe Independent Film Fest. I'm interested in any updates on the screen, if there are any.
Jacques, there's no actually updates right now. We have not severed any of our short-term engagements with the CCA group, so they have closed it down right now. But as we see this next phase, I call it, of Midtown, is that any of our short-term engagements that were there, short-term leases, Vital Spaces, the Recovery Center, there's emergency management operations there, and there's also a Midtown homeless shelter for COVID-related sheltering. Those will all, plus the Garza Studios, those will all stay there sort of almost for the life of this redevelopment process. So if the CCA team wants to reconstitute the screen, they will probably have that opportunity to do that once it's safe to come out and watch movies again. So.
Okay, other questions for Rich? Yes, Gay.
Thank you, Rich. Really appreciate it, and also look forward to reading the report. So this may be a little ahead of, this may all be in the report, but I certainly understand what, we can't do anything about COVID in the sense that how this developer, got banged around with COVID, but will the report also include the things non-COVID that we can do? I mean, my understanding was there were some issues around zoning and some other things that we as a community could clear the way in a better way, so that whether it's this developer or a new one or whomever, is that a big part of the conversation in the report?
That's a very good question, Gay. So I'm going to list some of the things that are part of this report that we are working on, and it's most of it's been informed through this E&A process. So one is existing buildings and site conditions. Another one is the master plan and phase one. Like, what does that mean? Third would be infrastructure, and infrastructure is two ways. Horizontal means plumbing and electric and broadband, what goes under the ground. And then vertical is what happens if you rise up above one floor. So that infrastructure piece. Entitlements, to your point, Gay, entitlements means zoning. There's a couple of things happening at the Midtown campus. It's within the Midtown link, but it's also zoned as an R1. And an R1 just means residential. And in order to be a fully realized master plan, it needs to be rezoned as a C2. That provides a diversity of commercial and residential opportunities for growth there. So that entitlements process was going to take about a year. So that's a part of what we need to do. The other one is public financing. We recognize that COVID has dried up money on the private sector, but publicly we could look at bonds, we could look at tax increment districts, we could look at redevelopment districts, et cetera. So we're looking at all the public finance options, whether we go with a big developer or a bunch of different partners. We also are looking at access. There's really one way in and one way out at the Midtown campus. And so we have to figure out, if we're going to build a robust new community, what do you think about access? Movie trucks coming in, people coming in and out that have cars, commerce that's going to be new in that spot. So we think about access. And then we also will think about the surrounding land that's there. There are a couple of family land holdings just to the east of the campus that could be futurized, as I'll use a new word. They can be futurized because there's a lot of infill parking lots there. And that could be turned into affordable housing or just mixed use housing. So how do you connect those pieces together into a sort of a master plan? So those are some of the key elements that you'll find in the progress report that come out every 2 weeks. Like what have we done? What do we understand? One of our big key issues we're trying to figure out is how to make the word residual land value as simple as possible, because that's our goal. How do you raise the residual land value of the Midtown campus and use it to align against our guiding, our guidelines that we have, which are the 5 that you'll see on this link that I'm going to send you.
Thank you.
Doug, do you have any questions? Is that a no?
No, we just finished shooting The Harder They Fall. Friday was the last day of striking the construction sites. So we put everything back to better than what we got it a year ago. It's the longest film I've ever worked on, but we'll see what progresses.
Yeah, Rich, Doug will be a very good, where's Rich? Oh, there you are. A great person for you to talk to.
Yeah.
This is his last meeting for this commission, but he's a major player in IATSE, shall we say. Yes, even more than major. Okay, so, well, that was great. Well, thank you, Rich. Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you very much for allowing me. I would just want to thank you. I wanted to just, if you could write this down, I can't put in chat because the chat's not on, but midtowndistrictsantafe.com. If you could all write that down and bookmark that, that's where the updates will come from. And then it'll give you a sense of what we're doing in Midtown. midtowndistrictsantafe.com.
Oh, no caps, just
no caps, all lowercase, midtowndistrictsantafe.com.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Rich. It's great to see you as usual.
You too. Thank you for your great work.
See you next
I'm triple booked today, but I have about 5 more minutes, but I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me this time.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much, Rich. Let's give him another big hand because that was kind of cut off.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now Jim, what is going on in the State Film Commission? Where's Jim? God, there he is. State Film Commission. What's going on?
Hey, everybody. Well, I'm going to start and cheat like a few of us have by just saying, Deborah, how great it has been to work with you. And the years just sort of floated by. And I really appreciate the attention that you have brought to both the form and the function of our work. You know, figuring out how we could structure these meetings, forming working groups, and keeping the meetings, you know, on time, running well, never going over. Really terrific work, and it's been great. And I'll miss that, but I'm sure we'll find other things to do together.
We will. Yes. Thank you so much. That's very.
And I sent an email out saying, I guess this comes later.
So the state stole Jim from us.
Yeah. Well, I was term limited anyway.
Let us know why. Let us know what. Let's make it worth it.
So I believe it. When we met last time, we had already issued the annual report. Basically, when the State Film Commission got it had existed, but it was essentially not doing much under Susana Martinez. So the governor reinvigorated it, relaunched it, asked me to chair it. There's a whole lot of good people on it, and you can, through the New Mexico Film Office website, you can see the minutes, you can see the people who are on it. And the most interesting thing, which I believe I sent out to everybody already, is the annual report, which we issued in beginning of December, looking at areas including the incentives and defending the incentives, including new businesses, new business development potential, and including education and training as the 3 major areas, with diversity and COVID recovery as sort of cross-cutting issues. And the state Governor's Council on Film and Digital Media Industries, which is its formal name, like this commission, doesn't have power to, you know, make decisions, make things happen, allocate money, and the like. But it does have a podium to speak from, a pulpit, as it were. And so there've been lots of interesting conversations, including with some of the people on this commission, including I just had a good conversation with the new dean at University of New Mexico, Harris Smith, who came in to run the whole arts section, which includes film and digital media, as well as other things. A good guy who totally understands film and is very interested in the Midtown campus. And it being political season, a big thing is just, watching what is happening and not happening in the legislature. And I think, in short, the good news is that there are no major attacks happening, no meaningful attacks on the film industry. There are always people who complain that, oh, we're sending money to, stealing money from school children and sending it to Hollywood. And there are some occasional comments, but as far as I can tell, there's no meaningful move to, to damage the industry and the rebate system that helps support it. There are a number of proposals out there involving diversity, involving training, better job training, recovery, and the like. Some tweaks to the incentive system. It being a long session, and typically, as those who follow it know, most things that happen in the last week. And it being such a strange session, with COVID, it makes it really hard, at least for me, to have a good sense of what's going on and what we're going to get done. But I'd say that the good news is it doesn't appear that anything bad is going to happen. The bad news is
lobby or anything. Do they need us to do anything?
At this point, I don't know of anything like that. But if I do, when I'm kind of on standby, and I've been in contact with, of course, the governor's team, but also with Peter Wirth and Brian Egoff. At this point, it doesn't seem to be, a lot of the other more, pressing things like budget and kind of more frontline things like abortion, marijuana are getting a lot of attention. And the thing that I think that I'm hopeful of is the John Pinto scholarships got through last time or the time before, which essentially are small grants to Native American filmmakers. I think we may be able to get some more things like that for Hispanic and Black stories, for women, or just for local Santa Fe, New Mexico stories for locals, to get, so that we're not just a place where big multinationals like Netflix and NBC Universal come in, but where the small scale local people can, get a little bit of a leg up. So that's about it.
Thank you for that. That's just great. I'm so glad you're doing that and that you're on that. It's just terrific. Okay, we got now Honor. Now we're I'm going to ask for working group updates. If there hasn't been much happening, it's okay. That's an update. So let's start with the screenplay contest.
Deborah?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to add one question for Jim, and for the commission. Can Jim, you running the state commission, and would you be willing to continue to give us updates, or someone from the commission, the state commission? Because I think that relationship's important, and can that continue?
Sure. I mean, I don't see why not. I think, if I understand correctly, this is my last meeting as a member of the Santa Fe Commission. So to the degree that I were to appear on a Zoom or even in human form in the future, it would be, as a guest and as a guest agenda. But we could definitely do that. And I think there are, I can imagine, taking good ideas that are developed here and helping promote them, and through the state council, and vice versa, some things maybe that came out of the state council could be useful here. So I'd be happy to communicate and collaborate with you, Gay, on that in the future. And I would also just add, while I'm speaking, it does seem, with so many of us leaving, and through term limits and new leadership coming in, it's the kind of thing that would be so much nicer to do with humans in the room together, giving each other hugs, saying, thank you and all that in person. So at some point, perhaps our future chair of the Santa Fe Film and Digital Media Commission could figure out an appropriate time in a post-COVID era for some of us old timers to come in and, maybe towards the end of the meeting or whatever, to not disrupt it, just sort of be there in person, maybe even go out and have a meal together afterwards or something like that.
That's so sweet. Okay, we need to move on, guys. We really do. Thank you very much, though. Thank you, Jim, for that report. It's great. Thank you very much. Let's give him a hand for that. Okay.
I had a very quick thing. I just wanted to know when the next meeting was, Jim's next meeting.
Jim's next meeting.
The
it is.
I see.
I'm not sure. It is probably going to be in February. I actually have a call with Amber Dodson, the director of the film office, today, and we're going to discuss it. I believe it's going to be late February, but the date hasn't been set.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Deborah.
Okay, sure. No, good question, Steve. Really good. Okay, so let's just see where the working groups are right now and where they want to go. So let's start with Milton and Steve on the screenplay contest. Whichever one of you wants to go first is up here.
We can flip a coin, Steve, if you'd like. I got a really good two-headed coin. I'll choose tails, by the way. Anyway, yeah, there's nothing really to report. Steve and I have talked had a few comments back and forth about it. Yeah, we need to get back into the saddle again, so to speak, and start the process. And James Lujan, myself, Steve, I would like, I'll send out an invite just so that we can sit and talk, unfortunately via Zoom, and figure out what our next game plan should be. And I'll try to set that up for next week. This week is pretty much shot for me. I'll throw out some some ideas for times or days and times, and then maybe we can have a consensus. Who knows? And but anyway, good to see both of you, and we'll pick up now that we're sort of back in the saddle. We'll pick it up again. So thanks.
Great. Steve, you want to add anything to that, or?
That's we'll let you know when we get back together.
Fantastic. That's good. That's perfectly fine. So the resource list, Alexandria, Elias couldn't be here today. But have you had any chance to work on that, or not want to, or whatever? You're so busy, I know.
Yeah, I think priorities just kind of completely shifted with COVID. It's really interesting because so many people have left Santa Fe that were working in film. A lot of people just couldn't afford to live here anymore. And then I think it's been really interesting because I've just known so many people who have moved here too, from LA, and a lot of people craving to be out in a better environment than a city where they can't do anything. So it's exciting, but I think really what I would like to do is to partner with some sort of organization that has the money to do it, because I think it just is it's kind of a money situation. Unless I have resources and people who can do statistics and website development and all that stuff, it's kind of at a holding pattern. And I think with COVID, there was just different priorities for, people's being able to survive during this time. But it's still definitely something I'm really interested in. And if anyone wants to tackle that with me, or just like be a part of those conversations, I would be very excited to work with anyone on it.
I would be interested in talking.
I was hoping you'd raise your hand. That's awesome. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I may have emailed you about it a while ago, but it was, in the middle of productions and stuff. So
yeah, I had 2020. Let's just cancel that right out.
Yeah, count me in.
I have a note here, Little Globe raised hand, but Chris isn't here. So was that any of you or, okay. All right. So Alexandria, so I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's it.
Katrina, for that, that's great. So you guys will just get together. The working groups are the ones who do all the work. At the meetings, they let us know what they've done and more importantly, what they need. So thank you very, very much. And let's thank her for all the work she's done on that.
Yeah, I think the major need is money. So if anyone knows where there's money or an organization that has these skills, that would be the major need.
Great.
Thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you. Is that Chris where it says Little Globe? Who's Little Globe?
That's me, Chris. I'm just trying to get in.
Great to kind of not see you, but wonderful. So who else has?
I think if you can have me join the session, I don't know how I do that, but.
So are you here?
I'm able to see all of you, but I think I'm here as a like a member of the public as opposed to a member of the.
No, you're not. You're here.
It's your Little Globe logo.
Yeah, it's your logo. Is your camera on? Now you just muted yourself.
Hi.
Hey, all right.
My previous engagement got canceled, so here I am. So I'm delighted to join.
Wonderful, fabulous. Okay, that's great. Santa Fe Network and Above the Line events. Anna, tell us all about what's happening there.
So I'm going to take this with Steve. Steve and I are going to tag team this one. So Santa Fe Network has been in sort of hibernation, I think as most folks know. But I thought it might be smart to talk a little bit about the Above the Line thing historically so that Gay gets sort of updated on how this process has happened and where we are now. Because, we started talking about, obviously this whole commission is basically talking about above the line and, how we can help the folks in Santa Fe specifically who are in that field. And so we started creating these events and then Santa Fe Network sort of took them over and kind of had their own company, created a company and started hosting these above the line events. So those obviously stopped with 2020 entering. And the last time we all spoke together, we talked about having some kind of an above the line event on Zoom as a way to kind of bring the community together, because how cool would that be? And so Steve and I started talking because after Santa Fe Network sort of split off, we realized there was still this kind of group of people who wanted to talk about specifically organizing the ways in which above the line could be effective, could, kind of actually creating a structure that this commission could kind of plug into and say, yes, these are the ways in which we support above the line evolving through this commission and with us paying attention to what the needs are out in the community and how we can bring that, that's what we're doing, right? So to be really in service of the above the line community. So we were calling ourselves the Above the Line Working Group. We have now changed it, and Steve's going to tell you what the new name is.
Is the Film Advocacy Work Group.
Right, because I can never remember it because it's a terrible name. But hey, it's better than Above the Line because it's confusing. So that's the working group. And that working group is basically working on sort of a 5-part structure that goes through legislation, goes through education, mentorship, I would think that the screenwriting conference is kind of a part of that as well. It's kind of this broad plan for the way in which we can structure something that would make sense for this above the line community. So Steve and I talked after the last meeting and said, okay, we should create some kind of a Zoom something with above the line. What has happened since then is that Steve has sort of run with it. I had a lot going on with deadlines and all sorts of things in my world and couldn't take it on. He found the bandwidth and made it happen. So I'll let him talk about what this event is. Steve is on the board of the Film Foundation. And so we both thought that Stagecoach would also be a great partner in this. So Stagecoach and Film Foundation and Santa Fe Network, which is really this previous body which still holds this mailing list and still holds people who came to the above the line group, so they're kind of involved, but they're not really happening at the moment, but they're there. So it's really Stagecoach and Film Foundation. And Steve, take it away. Tell us about this event that's coming up.
So yeah, in partnership with the New Mexico Film Foundation and Stagecoach, we put together a series of discussion panels. So 4 Zoom panels, one each for producers, writers, directors, and actors. So the first one is this Saturday, February 6th at 10 a.m. And they will follow every month, the first Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. Through May. So the first one is the producers panel, and we've got a great lineup. We have Bruce McKenna, Alexandra Renzo, Michael D. Jones, and Andrea Medich of the commission here. And which is it's a great broad panel of producers that have both writing credits as well as producing money finding credits, line producers, documentary people, and feature narrative producers. So very much looking forward to that. We'd love to have you guys join us. You can sign up either by going to the Stagecoach Foundation website or the New Mexico Film Foundation website. If you're not on the mailing list, let me know, because it should have come out to you. But just reach out to me individually, and I'll make sure that you guys are on the future lists. But just to reiterate what Anna said, the film advocacy work group is still working on Santa Fe specific above the line issues. As you recall, Lee used to chair the above the line group, and then Jim Gollin took over, and then Anna and I took over after that. Luckily, Jim is in a position now to take a lot of the things that we were talking about, the work that we were doing in the work group, and take them to a state level for advocacy there. So we want to continue to work on issues for Santa Fe, for above the line people, and Jim's been very gracious about talking to us and taking having some of our ideas get discussed there. And then the Santa Fe Network and the above the line events are still ancillary to what the working group is doing, but we think they're very important for New Mexicans and specifically for Santa Fe filmmakers. So if you have any feedback, we want to do other events, and we certainly want to have a big above the line in-person meeting again sometime. Anna we were all gearing up and ready to go for March, and that's how this ended up. So here we are, and we're excited about the new Zoom panels, and looking forward to great discussions and getting the whole state and Santa Fe involved.
Pam.
Thank you for what you're doing on that. And I looked at the people participating and was really impressed, and I look forward to it. I just want to encourage you to always think to add nonprofit producers, nonprofit education to the discussion. I think it's important that that voice be heard. So
thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Frank, did you have your hand up?
Just follow on what Pam said. As we're building these panels for the writers directors and actors, I'd love to have input. We're looking for, obviously, New Mexico and Santa Feans who are writing, directing, and acting. So, yeah, if you have somebody that should be on the panel, let me know.
Okay, Frank, was your hand up?
No.
Okay.
I've been having trouble with the internet, but I'm here now.
Well, we're so glad you're here. Okay, Milton.
I am too.
That's yeah.
Yeah, brief question. I mean, Steve and Anna, thank you so much. One thing you might want to include into it, and this is a frustration that I get occasionally at the college, is producers calling up and not having a clue where to go for affordable equipment and resources to help with their productions, and whether it be stage space, whether it be warehouse space to turn into stage space, whether it be just simply finding a camera package that's affordable. So it might be interesting to put together, probably in the future, put together a panel of resources that can talk about the insurance coverage that's going to be needed for independent producers, what's going to be needed as far as equipment in general, what's going to be needed for, I mean, every aspect of the production itself, the logistics of the production, I guess you could almost call it. Again, just a thought to throw out, again, something to think about. It's might be worth exploring. So.
Great idea. Anna.
Does that cross over with what Alexandria was doing for resource lists?
Different. I'm not looking at gear, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So above the line people is what you're working on, right? That's a great idea.
I just wanted to kind of then say, one of the questions that comes up as we're dealing with the difference between this gathering of great minds thinking best we can about what's going on and trying to bring our focus to all of these issues, which is an amazing service. And thank you, Deborah, for leading us and creating this in the first place. And, your singular vision has led us from the beginning. And, I, for one, am very grateful that you put it together in the first place and have included all of us. So thank you so much for your time.
You're here.
One of the questions that there's on.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Mayor Gonzalez created this and asked me to help him put it together. So he deserves a lot of credit too. So.
Thanks for all you've done.
Thank you very much.
So one of the questions that I think, is something that comes up a lot is the difference between us meeting and gathering and discussing and thinking about these things and us doing things in the community. And as the commission, in what ways are we allowed to do things into the community? So I think one of the things that came up was that it wasn't really super appropriate for the commission to be hosting a big party with food and drink and that sort of thing. And so that was where Santa Fe Network sort of came in and took that over. But I'm not sure exactly what the actual legal parameters are around what we can truly do as a commission into the community and what has to be led by something other than the commission as we step out and create things.
This is a perfect segue into our next item. Does anybody have any specific questions for Anna before we do segue with the help of Fabian, our Apple Blossom Prince, to come in and help us out here on that? Anything else? Okay, let's segue right into the conversation we were having at the last meeting, which is how we can support emerging media and motion picture industries. So we need Jennifer in this, we need Randy in this, and it's mostly so to hand ourselves off to Gay. So let's start with that question, and then Fabian could probably answer it. Anna, you want to repeat that?
Sure. I mean, just legally, I guess my question is sort of what are the actual parameters of a commission, as opposed to of working groups or something else that would need to be created in order to make something happen physically out in the community, like these Zoom events or like a big party where we're serving food and drinks. You know, is that something that the Film Commission can sort of stand behind and sponsor and host, or does it need to be something separate from the commission? And can a working group do those things?
Fabian?
Okay. A working group is basically a subgroup or to work on things from the commission. As far as parties and stuff or events, you can I would have to check into that more clearly, but I don't see a problem where you couldn't champion or be part of events. As far as hosting them, that's what I have to check into, because I have to see what the legal ramifications. One of the things is the city doesn't really do anything to host anything with liquor that's available. I mean, we can, but we traditionally don't like to do that because there's ramifications to that. So it's more about what so if it depends on what the event is. So for example, if you're in the community and you're hosting a working group and you're doing a series of seminars and you're representing the commission, that is something that you can do. Probably, you wouldn't have to do a lot for that. If you're hosting like an event where you have and you're serving alcohol and stuff like that, or food and that, I'd have to check to see what those ramifications are. I don't say that you couldn't, but you have to be really careful, particularly like I said, when alcohol is involved. So those are kind of the two general areas where I think you can work and do things in the community. But what I would say is that you would probably have to have something on the agenda, and then the commission itself would have to say that, the above the line working group is working on an event, or we're going to want something to happen. Like, say, if you're working on incentives or something, well, then you can go and do what you need. If you're going to work on a group that you're going to, or an event that you're going to sanction or sponsor or be a part of, I think we can do that. But if you're actually going to host something, that's where we have to take a look at. So you could probably say sponsor or champion like some event or that's being hosted by somebody else. But if it's that has food and beverage in it and stuff, but if it's something you're actually going to do yourself, that's something where we'd have to take a look at. But I would think it'd have to be something that pertains to what the commission is working on. I would also ask Randy if he has anything to add to that.
I won't repeat it again, but I do think that I think it kind of, as he said, it depends on what it is. If the commission has an idea, most of our boards and commissions don't do things. They advise staff to do things, and staff is usually the executor within the city. This is very different. So if you've got an idea, we can take it to our legal department and find out what the restraints are. And I think that's the best way to proceed with it, rather than us guessing at this point. So, but I don't think there's a whole lot of things we can't do. And, as our legal department changes, the opinions on these change too. So just because something may not have been allowed in the past, don't think that it won't be permitted. It just depends on who we ask and what the current thinking is on it.
I agree with Randy there.
So let's talk about our purpose, where we're going, where we want to go, what we need to do. Steve, did you have a hand up, Milton? Did anybody? Oh, Steve has one up.
Well,
okay.
I just had a comment on the it sounds like you guys are flexible and we can do that. I just wanted to point out that a lot of the things that we're working on, or at least the 2 working groups that I'm in, involve community outreach. And I think it's important that this commission is public and works with the community and provides education, provides an opportunity for the community filmmakers to give us feedback and to take that to the, to the governing body. So it sounds like maybe we could also work with city, departments to help put some of these things on. So we'll think about that. But the other point I wanted to make is it's very common that these are going to be jointly sponsored types of events. The one that we're working on for Saturday is 3 different groups. I would love for it to be 4. I'd love for the commission to have their name on it as well. So that's just it might not always be a singular thing that the commission is hosting, but something that the commission is supporting and providing input to.
Madam Chair, if I could just add to Steve's comments, I think that's exactly right. There's nothing that says the commission couldn't support this event, couldn't endorse it, couldn't do anything. You don't have money, and commissions don't get money. Boards don't get money to spend typically. So you couldn't necessarily be the financial host to it, but there's nothing to say that the commission couldn't support an event like this and have its name on it, so long as it's not buying the product, particularly if it's alcohol.
Chris. Where's Chris? Chris, is your hand up, and where are you? And you're muted. There we go.
Right here. Sorry.
Hi.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's 2 dimensions. The nice thing about this commission is that we've all worked together now for a few years, and we've learned the hard way in many ways about what we can and cannot do. And I think that there's 2 dimensions that we probably need to talk about here. One is, yes, our goals and objectives for the next period, which is of course a moving target given COVID and everything else. But then the other, I think, and this is what we had started to explore before COVID, were the tools that we can help to facilitate for both ventures and mission consistent projects that the commission itself and working groups are advancing, but also to be transparent and be able to share those same tools in terms of the necessities of what it is to work with the city and through the city to create film and digital media amplifying activities. So, we had started talking about funding before COVID, and as a consequence, there was a lot of discovery made in terms of what we can and cannot do. And I think Randy's exactly right. It does change kind of based on kind of the legal requirements based on the current staff at the city. But I think that we as a commission have developed tools and expertise that I think are great practices in terms of how it is that we have a public-private conversation about initiatives and ways that things can happen between the city and partners. And so, yes, I mean, one of the things that we discovered through a whole variety of things we've done in the past is, yes, the commission itself cannot be a fiscal agent. The commission itself has the same kinds of legal requirements that the city itself has, but that we can partner, we can support, we may even be able to recommend financial money from one source to another source as kind of a space in between that helps to facilitate some of the initiatives that we as a commission think are important to advance. So again, I think we have goals and objectives, but we also have a pretty good set of tools that we can utilize to make sure that things actually do happen.
Very good point. Excellent. Anything else? Unfortunately, we're out of time for this discussion because other things took longer. Anna, yes.
I just wanted to say, when Steve said, we can provide education, we can provide, I thought that word was interesting because that's kind of my question. Are we here to provide, or are we here to consider and discuss and ask questions and represent and then bring those things to the bodies that can provide, like the Film Foundation, like Stagecoach, like the schools? What are we what is our purpose? Are we to provide and set up things, structures that will do, or are we to consider and then, bring in other folks who will do?
Wow, that's fabulous. I'm so sorry that we have to end this discussion, but we will move it as if Gay would like to continue it at the next meeting. Sometimes other things take longer than scheduled, and or I don't allow enough time. And this is going to be a great discussion ongoing, I think. Right now, I'd like to say goodbye and thank you to Doug Acton, who was here but isn't now. People don't realize how helpful Doug has been to this commission. From the very beginning, IATSE seemed to be threatened by us in some way. And he really, really helped smooth that situation over and explain it. He said, to me at lunch, we had like a 2-hour lunch. We don't want you guys to encourage independent filmmaking. So I was like, okay, we're not. But he was really good. I don't know how many of you were here when John Hendry used to come to all of our meetings. And Doug took care of that for me. So he really has been a steel beam in this commission without us, everybody really knowing that. So even though he's not here, let's give Doug a really big hand for everything he does and everything he's done to help us. And then Michael Becker, gosh, it's been interesting to watch his career just soar during the time he's been on this commission. He's been to almost every single meeting. He was the line producer. He's the line producer for Meow Wolf, all the stuff they do. He's very involved in that. So in fact, today I think he had to go to Las Vegas for their new project out there. So, and it's been an absolute joy to work with Michael. Jim has been what a hoot, what fun we've had working together. And he's just been the political force behind this commission. I mean, he has been just such a stalwart with the legislature, with everybody else, really helping us turn what our dreams and goals into some reality with various government entities. And just, wow, we couldn't have survived without Jim. I really don't think so. And Jack, what fun it's been having you here. It really has been. And what you're doing with your festival is incredible. I mean, it's just, you're putting Santa Fe on the map culturally more than Indian Market or anything else, as far as the industry's concerned. They don't come here to buy pots, they come here to make films. So what your organization has done, and your being on this commission also, has really been a gift. And I really thank you so much. So I just want to say that I've enjoyed my 5 years of doing this tremendously. I've enjoyed working with each one of you, and I'm not gonna die. Let's stay friends. Let's stay close. Call me if you have any questions. I treasure each one of you and your opinions. Now, first of all, Fabian, were you able to send Gay's resume to everybody? Fabian, hello. Well, I asked Fabian to send Gay's resume to everybody. Did you guys receive it? Okay, I will send it to you. I want to really introduce Gay to you with all the praise she deserves. I mean, the woman is just a powerhouse. She's led commissions for the state. She's made films herself. She's done, wait till you see her resume. You'll just be absolutely blown away. And I've had so many of your fellow commissioners write to me and praise what a great choice it is for Gay to be our next chair. So after this, we have goals for next meeting or questions from visitors. And I now want to turn this meeting over to Gay as your new and much better and much more forward-thinking and much more energetic leader than I can possibly be. So here's to Gay.
I have to I have to disagree with that send off, into the sense that much more energetic. Deborah, I don't know how you do what you do. I mean, you
mirrors. It's all mirrors.
You've you have not left any stone unturned so far in terms of helping me understand the pieces, and I have a long way to go. But I just really appreciate your leadership, your generosity, your attention to detail. And I will just say exactly why you thought I would be the chair or could be the chair. I mean, it says nominees. I don't know exactly how that happens. Like, do we vote? And I was very shy about, I'm the beginner here. I'm the newest member. And I do understand the value of having beginner's mind to come in as beginner's mind. And I do, I'm sad that a lot of the important experience is going off the board. I know a lot of you are staying on, thank goodness. So I will be reaching out to you all, but I really want you to know my Zoom screen's open, my phone's open. I really need to understand from each of you what your experience has been, where you want to go. So in other words, to extend this part of the meeting that Deborah queued up, what are our goals and purpose, and where do we want to take it from here? What have we learned? So I have a lot to learn, is my point. And I know that. So that's good. So I want to absorb as much of your experience and vision as possible. So please reach out, particularly in the next, weeks and months. Our next meeting is not till May, but let's please get, some of these little conversations scheduled so that I can learn from you. I also know that we have to.
I'm sorry, but what's silly me, I hand it over to you and then interrupt. To answer your question about chairing, I've asked the mayor to change your status. I don't know if it's just a city clerk change of status, because we have this new city clerk. So the policy might be different, but you will be chair. We're all. And by the way, everybody's term begins and ends March 20th, even if you come on in October. That's what Yolanda, the prior city clerk, had as her policy. So I don't know what the new city clerk. So Gay gets to have a whole new city clerk besides me. And I also forgot, and it's just, I'm kicking myself, to thank Fabian and Jennifer and Randy for all you do for the city and for sitting through these meetings. They must drive you crazy. But thank you so much. All right, Gay, there you go.
And Madam Chair, the mayor does appoint the chair. So Gay, don't take the word nominee. He has confirmed to me you are the chair.
And I had asked Deborah to speak with many of you because I didn't want that pushed down anyone's throats. So I appreciate the comments and the support I have gotten from all of you. I really, really do. I also know we're losing a number of members. So recommendations would be great. I mean, we should start thinking about who else to fill out the seats that are now vacant. And so that's, I think it doesn't have to happen overnight, but I'd love to hear from you all on that. I will let you know, I'm going to be recommending, and Jim can speak to this individual as well. Harvey Kahn, who actually came from Vancouver, British Columbia, and decided to move here, really helped build the 360 ecosystem in Vancouver, British Columbia. So he would be an incredible asset. We've become very good friends. And I asked him if he would consider it. So I look forward to introducing him to you all at some point. But I would, I know we all have ideas about who could be good for this commission. So please know my Zoom screen's always open.
So Gay, this is Fabian. So
Yeah.
anything that goes, like all the recommendations that need to be forged, they should come to me. Then I will get them as a matter of process to the city clerk's office, and then they will be sent to the mayor for review.
Okay.
And he makes the final decision.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Fabian.
You're welcome.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats now vacant, correct? And if I count that correctly, so alrighty. Any questions for me? Now, concerns, thoughts? Milt? Gooey duck milk. We went to the same college.
Indeed. Well, congratulations, Gay. I mean, and just for reference, I think Gay and I first got to know each other almost 40 years ago. And so it's kind of sobering when I think about that. It's really quite, yeah, it's quite remarkable. So congratulations, Gay. This is fantastic. Go Gooey Ducks go. Anyway, and you really, it's a very vague reference, so don't even bother looking it up. I did have one very brief question. As you mentioned, we had 5 positions open. What are those positions, the titles, or the categories that we have to look for? And if we could, you don't have to state now, but maybe we could get an email to us that's actually state what it is we're actually looking for, if that is part of the equation. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Will do. Anna. Anna, you're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, I was unmuting. Just wanted to just kind of catch you up, Gay, that we've been working really hard to sort of try and create some parity on this board, knowing that we want to move forward, you know, with a real look to diversity, a real look to parity gender-wise, a real look to representing the filmmakers in New Mexico, which we are a far cry from doing yet at this point on this board, on this commission. So, you know, just to keep that in mind as you're looking, and that I think it's a great thing to, you know, reach out to the commission, because we all know so many interesting folks, and knowing that it's helpful to a certain extent. And then, you know, as Milt mentioned, and we learned in watching, you know, Deborah struggle with this, because it's a tough aspect of it, is that there are limits to each position. So each position has to represent something very specific in the film world, or in the business sector, or in the educational sector, or the nonprofit sector. So it's hitting those marks. So it really is important for us to see what those 5 positions are, and then all of us just work together to build that, you know, real reflection of who we are trying to represent here. So, thank you.
Thank you for that. Jen.
So I'm not sure how the city does work it with committees and boards. I know on the county side, they advertise. So they'll advertise, and then they have a deadline, because it's a whole process that has to go before the elected officials to do the approvals. But then maybe just to suggest to have some kind of a deadline, and everybody bring in the applications together and review them. Maybe have a small committee within the committee to look at them, and then put those recommendations forward. But that's just a recommendation of being around boards and committees for a long time in local government. Not sure quite, like I said, how the city does it, but I know the county, they'll do that advertising, have a deadline, it gets reviewed by another committee, and then they make those recommendations.
Thank you. Fabian, can we do that? Can we put some kind of advertisement out for these openings and which ones they are?
Sure. What we usually do is we send out what we can do is we send out a press release, and then it goes out on the city's letterhead, and we can advertise for the positions. However, there's no committee that makes the recommendation. I mean, they come in, and then all of those applications or resumes are screened to make sure they meet what is called the requirements in the ordinance, and then they're sent to the city clerk, and the city clerk sends them to the mayor, and the mayor is the one who makes the final decision, and that's for all boards and committees citywide. That's what the process is a little bit different than the county.
So our commission cannot have a committee that recommends, even though
You certainly can. You can create a committee that would go through them and make recommendations to the mayor with the understanding that the decision is made by the mayor and approved by the council, not by the commission.
Correct.
But you have to call it a working group. If you call it a
For sure.
committee, then it has to appoint everybody on there. You don't want. Yeah.
And that may have been past legal, past clerk terminology too, but working groups are great.
Yes.
Can I ask who would want to be on that working group now? Anna, great. Pam, Steve.
Keeping in mind, it can't be a quorum.
It can't be more
That's
than
right.
how many? 4 or 5.
Oh, I don't know. I can't.
It can't be more than 7.
7, I
or
think,
8.
is the number.
More than 7.
Yeah.
Who else raised their hand? Milt? Great. And Frank? No more than 7. Okay, so I have Anna, Pam, Steve, Chris, Milt, Frank.
And please remember diversity.
Yes, diversity. So actually, we're at 7 if I'm on it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm not chair yet, so.
Frank has his hand up. I'm sorry. Frank has his
I'm
hand up.
sorry. Who is it?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if this is truly going to be a film and digital media commission, somehow we have to bring in more digital media folks. And it's kind of slim pickings compared to the the film world. So I'm not quite sure how we go about that, but something to keep in mind.
Very good. Well, we'll hope that you help court some of those new names.
If I can think of any. What was your friend that you said had asked? What did you say he was involved with from Seattle?
No, he's actually, he's American as well, but he has dual citizenship. And from LA, he went to Vancouver and really from the ground up create the entire film business ecosystem in Vancouver, British Columbia. So I think he has a lot to offer, whether he's on our commission or not. I'd love to have him just come in and give us some of his brain power. And he's kind of at a place in his life where he just wants to give back. It's not like he has to, feed a heavy career. He's already done that. So that's kind of a nice place to be in. Anybody else? And also concerns. I mean, and if you want to do this more privately with me, that's fine too. But I really do want, I won't take any of it personally, but I will always continually need guidance. Okay, we are, well, 11:34. If I'm trying to follow in Deborah's footsteps, I'm not. So am I actually chair now? Do I adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, well, I asked you to take the meeting from here. So yes,
Okay.
it's up to you.
Well, in honor of Deborah and her great time management skills, which I have a lot to, raise to, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I actually had I had one other thing I wanted to add.
Oh, you know what? It says next meeting March 2nd, but we were only meeting every 3 months.
May 4th.
Here it says March 2nd.
On what?
On the agenda. Item 12, next meeting.
Yeah,
March
it's wrong.
Next
It
meeting
should
will
say
be
May
will
4th.
be May 4th.
May 4. Okay, so if we could change that, that would be good because that might be confusing to the public.
Okay.
So Gay, I just had a public comment, which is in this Zoom session, typically we have a gallery, we have people that are visiting and they are able to say things. And I know that there's a couple of folks that are watching us on YouTube that don't have that access. And one of them is Elizabeth from the Stagecoach Foundation that we're partnering with on this. And she had wanted to mention that there is they're starting a 6-month trial of an incubator out at their Gregg Avenue production facility. So there's the foundation owns a building up near the Lodge, north of town there, that has a number of offices. The Coen brothers have used it. Netflix has used it. There've been a lot of productions that are in there. They currently have a post facility in one of the buildings, but they're opening that up to independent filmmakers. I'm not exactly sure how the incubator side of it works, but it's a film-friendly incubator at that production office, and so they're soliciting filmmakers that want to use that space and be part of that program. So you can find information on their website, Stagecoach Foundation, or you can call Elizabeth directly. So
great, thank you. So a couple things. I did notice I went on the Film Foundation. I could not find that 4-series channel, but I got onto Stagecoach and I registered. So
okay, we're working through our communications issues at the Film
and
Foundation.
Elizabeth, out there, you're out there. I would very much like to help promote that. And so if you could come to the May meeting and give an outline update on that, that would be great. And the other question I have for Fabian actually could we have a chat room where the public actually gets to have at the end of the meeting interact with, because right now I don't see that there's the chat room option on our Zoom.
Well, this is set up as a webinar.
Okay.
And so I'd have to talk with the technical person on how we set up something, but usually the way it works is that people we'd have to set up where they can come in like they do the city council or the finance committee meetings. And then
they ask in advance, and then they're there and they want to ask a question and you allow them in. Is that how it works?
Well, there's 2 ways. You can do that. You do that with the city council meetings, and then with the finance committee meetings, they can just they get the code is just on the agenda, and then they actually can just sign in. So we'd have to talk to I'll talk with Joseph Abeta and see what we can do.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Do we have any idea how many people are watching? I mean, do we have numbers of how many people participated in at least viewing from the public?
We do, but I'd have to look at the YouTube thing to see how many are actually
great.
Are looking at that. Let me see if I can get it on YouTube and I can tell you.
Okay, that way, these smaller things I can find out later. Thank you. Frank, we'll make this quick and then we'll adjourn.
Yeah, if people have a YouTube account, in other words, they can log into YouTube, you can then have a chat window on YouTube.
Okay.
And one more thing I want to say, where film meets digital media, I spent the weekend at Sundance.
Right now, there's 5 people watching.
Okay, thank you.
I spent the weekend in New Frontier with an Explorer Pass at Sundance, and it's amazing. It's really incredible. You really feel like you're at a festival. They did an incredible job, and great work. It's been a very, very, very good experience. And I'm sure it's not going away.
Good. Okay. So do we have a motion to adjourn, and to also, on the way out, thank Deborah.
Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
I will take Jim up on his recommendation for when we can get together in person to have a nice little just social with some of the people that are leaving, so we can feel more, connected and complete. Okay, so motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Jim and second by Pam Milt. Second by Milt. Great, thank you all so much. I really, I'm honored to be a part of your group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gay. Thank you, Deborah.
Welcome, Gay.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.